any conversation, using your example, yeah, that you described with the conversation between the neighbors. Any conversation that does not begin with a question is manipulation. Think about it. Any conversation that does not begin with a question is manipulation. It's natural. It's natural. It's natural. When we meet, we ask each other questions, right? You walk into a shop, you need something, you ask a question. You want some information, ask a question. You meet a friend, you ask a question, right? So exactly. This is the okay. So the reason why you feel and perceive this person's communication as negative is because it is negative, because the conversation does not begin with a question. The conversation begins with a statement. A statement. It's just a sentence, which is full of assumptions. Now, assumptions are what you think, but you don't know. What you think, but you don't know. So in your example, the person who was starting the conversation had a thought about the neighbor.
She doesn't know.
Yeah, but she didn't actually know the truth about the situation. And so any conversation that does not begin with a question is manipulation. Because you have already had a conversation in your own mind. You've had a conversation about the conversation. You've come to a decision, and you're yeah, and you're then presenting your decision to the other person, and the neighbor's reaction was perfect, right? The neighbor's reaction the neighbor's reaction is like, "What are you talking about?" Right? I mean,
I'm not. Bye bye.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Shot down. Shot out of the sky. Yeah. It's something to think about. That natural communication, we communicate because we need information. We have questions. We are inquisitive. And that's the basis of all communication. And so that there's no reason for communication if we don't have questions. In fact, if you look at language grammatically, the grammar developed positive statement, negative statement, question in that order. That's how the grammar grows. You have a positive statement. From the positive statement, you make a negative statement. And from the negative statement, you make a question. That's the growth of grammar. For example, I have, I don't have, do I have? This is how it grows. This is how... Now, what is interesting about this is that the grammar process ends with a question. And it doesn't go any further. There's nothing more. Positive, negative, question. And there's nothing more. Because the question is the ultimate aim of all grammar and all communication. The aim of the language is to collect information and with questions. And once we developed the question, we had everything that we needed. We didn't need anything more. After the
information, yes.
After we did, because Because we develop positive, negative, question, and then there's no more. There's no next level. There's nothing There's nothing. It's really, if you look at the way that life is, if you look at the way that the universe is, if you look at the way that evolution is, everything has some kind of development, right? Everything has some kind of growth. As the universe expands, apparently, the trees grow, and so all of these, all of these things happen. Yeah. So everything is, everything is growing, and we are growing, and society is growing, hopefully. But the basic principle of the language is not growing at all. It hasn't grown for hundreds of years. It hasn't moved because we have already, through language, discovered the ultimate reason for existing, which is to grow in terms of information. There's nothing more. There's no level. We can't go beyond it. Everything else grows. But this principle of language can't grow. It can't grow beyond the question because there's nothing beyond the question. It's an incredible realization that the question is the ultimate aim. If we're on this planet not to be alone, if we're on this planet to be with other people, to share things with other people, to share experiences, and hopefully to share information and to help each other grow, then we have already created the ultimate system for doing this. We can't make anything better because there's nothing more. There's nothing more than the question. The question is the basis of everything that is good in understanding the world. And so those people who don't ask the questions, these people are not growing. And if you want to look at it from the perspective of balance, there's no real middle. You're going up or you're going down. There's very little period of time in the middle. So that which is not growing is contracting. And you could say dying, in a sense. It's a sort of dead form of communication if you don't ask questions. If all you have are statements, then you can't really grow and you can't really learn. And that's why we have to be careful of people who begin conversations with statements, because the statement is the frame of the reality. And most statements that people make are because they want reality in their frame. They want to see the world through their vision. And it's really visible through language where people make statements that are not questions. Because there's no point, there's no real interaction if you're not asking somebody something, so that you understand where they are, you understand where you are. When you ask a question, excuse me, I'll finish eating this. When you ask a question, what you're really doing is you are giving the other person a choice to be positive or to be negative. Because the question only really has two responses: a positive response or a negative response, a positive statement or a negative statement. So what the question is doing is giving the other person a choice in life to be positive or to be negative. Now it happens that there are sometimes word games in the English language, and sometimes a question gets another question back, which is it's not really a natural interaction. Well, when a question when the response to a question is a question, you're playing tennis, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're
It is not normal because
it's resistance.
when I give you a question, I won't answer on a question.
Yeah. So, for classic example, what is that? What do you mean? Well, where did you get it? Why is that important? Yeah. So there's a classic example.
And this is typical for my husband.
Yeah, it's a game of tennis, and you're saying,
This question.
yeah, you're because those who ask the questions sort of frame the picture, and if you come back with a different question, you're in a different place, right? The question has a positive or negative response, and if you ask a question, another question comes back. That's coming from a different place,
Yes, of course.
and so
Yes.
that's that.
Answer, so I give you a question.
Yeah, and it's also an attempt to dominate the conversation, because those who ask the questions have most of the control of the direction of the conversation. So it's a power struggle.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. What usually happens, or what should happen, is question, answer, question, answer, and this is
This is conversation.
yeah, it's a conversation.
Between
It's
adult people.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's normal. It's the norms of turn taking. My turn, your turn, my turn. What do I want to say? What I want to say finally is that there is nothing more powerful than a question, because a question creates the opportunity to be positive. And so what happens after that is whatever will be.